Hello, welcome to Open Mic.
Yeah.
I'm Chris Evans, Phil Nichols. Our very first podcast as we try to dive into all the stuff in news, sports, life, all that good stuff. And I think we'll have fun with it. I think there'll be some serious times with it. Yes, we'll talk some Guthrie stuff, but not just Guthrie stuff, not just local sports, but just kind of some state stuff and maybe some, with
a little bit of national.
A little bit, yeah.
Not a lot.
Yeah. So, but the
national makes me grumpy.
Yeah. And when you see stuff like on Facebook, it's the same people saying the same thing. And
you mean the 40 foreign relations experts that we have living in Guthrie?
Yes.
They saw those this past week.
And it's just like...
had all the answers.
Just kind of go fast forward. But I think it'll be a fun show, and we'll do this here on Facebook Live when we can. Some of them might be just audio, and we do have a podcast page set up for people to go back there. We can also... not on this show, but we can have we can call in the people. We can talk to them on the phone. We can dial in and get a video interview with them with the new software program that we have.
You did lay out some of that news page revenue for some new equipment.
Not yet. 60 days. First 60 days are free.
Oh, free.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is a test here to make sure everything.
Well, that's good.
So I need to take that comment there, but. Anyway, so what should we dive into?
Well, I think one of the things was we got a lot of feedback when we were doing the high school huddle. We decided to start doing some things after the huddle where we talked about more, just community issues, community events, what was going on in our fair city, and we talked a little bit of state stuff when we did that. But we got really good feedback on that. A lot of folks were asking us to do that more often, so we sat down and kind of came up with this open mic concept, and we really do want to hear from you. We want to hear your thoughts, your comments, your questions. Really, nothing's off limits. I think that some common sense will be used. Obviously, we're not going to. This isn't about bashing people, but we will have strong opinions, and we want to hear yours and your thoughts. It's the big thing, whether it's sports related, politically related, just any topic really. I think as we go along, we'll have some different folks participate with us. They'll call in, or they may join us here in your studio. But like if there's a major issue politically, we might reach out and get a representative or a senator or somebody that has direct knowledge of that to join us. Or if it's a sports related issue, we'll reach out, try to get somebody that's directly involved, when we can, to be a part of what we're doing. But there's plenty to talk about right now if you want to look at the state, the local level. A lot of stuff going on with the sports. We know our good friend Jeff Chappell. I don't know if he's happy with the new head coach at the Dallas Cowboys or not, but he needs something.
I think it's a good hire.
Yeah, it's a good hire.
And I can't get the comments off. I don't know what's going on with the comments.
Were you trying to censor our
No.
Okay.
No. All right, Philip.
All right, I'm ready.
What do we want to talk about here?
Well, I think, for me, one of the big topics right now, and I'd be interested, you threw it out on Facebook the other day, was, and I wasn't able to check last night, the poll you took on minimum wage. That was an interesting topic. I put down maybe, and then there was a lot of yeses. There was I think there was quite a few no's. There was just, it was kind of split, which you would think a topic like that would be split. Would you agree with that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's the kind of the thing on news page on Facebook that I'm trying to get these conversations, get different thoughts out there. Finally got that graphic off of there.
Yeah, because I can tell you,
great job.
I can tell you firsthand from doing a lot of sports with Chris. When there's a technical problem, I am officially on an island because Chris's full attention goes to that problem, and it has to, because that's what many times keeps us on the air. But it's been a struggle because I'm still learning how to do stuff up in the booth. I was down the sideline, and I didn't know anything about doing color, and still don't. I'm still learning, but it's when you're out there by yourself, it's a little scary, which should shock people because most people that know me know that I've never really been at a loss for words.
I know this is why that's why this podcast is open mic. So
right.
So
yeah, and we do want to talk about just a variety of things. I know I know Teresa asked the question, and you and I were talking earlier about this, and I don't know if that's something you can release yet or not, but because I know there's some ongoing.
There's a question there,
yeah.
Teresa asking, and Mike, we'll get to your question next. I think that's a good question. We'll get that here in a second. But Teresa wants to know who was killed in the house fire off Academy the other day. Nothing official yet. I think we're getting close. I don't know the person personally. I know the family member, and I think everybody knows, but it's one of those weird things for me on these deals is I know, and I don't like to put it out until an official tells me, like a fire chief tells me or a family member tells me. And neither one have told me. So I'm holding off. I've already got the story written. I just got to put in a part there. So, and there's another story that will be breaking probably today.
It doesn't involve me, does it?
Does not involve you, but it will be a push notification.
Oh boy!
Oh boy! So push notification. If you don't have the Guthrie News Page app, get the Guthrie News Page app, and there will be a notification. I've already got that story written. I just can't go public with it until I get the go-to on that. So hopefully, Teresa. I was looking the other just before we started the show. There's already a fundraising type deal for the family there. So I'm hoping to have that today and get that out there. So we'll see how that one goes. And Phil, if you see the questions, let me know and I can queue it up. But I want to throw Mike's comment on the screen.
Yeah, that is a good question.
And there's Mike's question, and you want to go ahead and read the question?
I believe you're talking about Mike Bear.
Yeah.
I believe the crosswalk signal needs to be implemented on the corner of Industrial and Division so I can walk across Division. Traffic and the lights are not in favor of pedestrians.
Well, that's a good point, Mike. I got some good news for you. I have not done a story on Guthrie News Page yet, I don't believe, because I have not seen anything official from the Department of Transportation, but the sidewalk on Division Street is coming soon.
Oh, that's good.
From Industrial to downtown.
Really?
And that's going to be an ODOT project.
But isn't that didn't he say an across division?
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying across.
Since that's a state highway, is that even possible?
It would be. It's an ODOT deal. 77. The crosswalk.
Well, if I'm reading Mike's question,
he's like the signals to.
Yeah. So I can walk across Division. Yeah. And I don't know. I don't know if that's even. I mean, I'm sure anything's doable.
At Industrial.
Yeah, Industrial. If you're over by Senor Lopez and you want to walk across the street over to go, where the car wash is, or over to the bank, or I think, Mike, that's what you're saying. But if that's, I don't know how ODOT looks at those things. You would assume they would be able to do that if they do anything they want.
Well,
but.
That's when I see...
we need to find out.
Yeah.
That's a good question.
Yeah, there's Brian Taylor, who used to be the ODOT guy. I think he's a big engineer now, and that's my one ODOT guy that I know that I can talk to. You know what? I know the public information officer. I can maybe throw that to her and see and talk. But that got me thinking the sidewalk, and I think that goes out to bid. I think ODOT puts that out to bid like in March, I think.
I know
that'd be cool to get the sidewalks.
Yeah, because there's been mornings when I'm driving into town from out where we live and heading north on Division, and there's a couple of individuals that are in wheelchairs.
Yes.
And it scares me every time I see it. And people say, well, get out of the street. Well, if they have to go somewhere, how are they to get there? I mean, sidewalks are such an important thing for those of our community members that are, need a sidewalk to be able to be able to move safely and efficiently if they are, unfortunately, find themselves in a wheelchair. It's a tough thing, and it's really all over. And it's not just a Guthrie thing. Any town you go to, that's a tough deal. But something we definitely need to be aware of and working towards. There was an interesting from Barbara. Did you read?
Well, real quick, before you go away from that, the lady that I see in the wheelchair, that's the first thing that comes to my mind, especially when it's rainy, and muddy, all that good stuff. But another complete opposite of that is my wife likes to run.
Right.
And she doesn't like to run the same spots all the time, so she usually has to leave the house, drive to the temple, and then take off from there. Now, once those sidewalks get put in,
she can just run.
I would think that would be summertime,
Well, and if
assuming everything goes in.
And if there was a crosswalk where Mike's talking about, it'd be real handy.
Yeah.
She could run right across.
Exactly.
And go down. That would be good.
Yeah, that would be good.
Well, and that's the, those are quality of life improvements.
Yeah.
So those are important.
All right. Thanks for that question, Mike. And again, a lot of local stuff. I'd be glad to talk about that as well. So, that's what cool. This is kind of driven.
And I think it's driven by the people that are watching, and we want to hear your questions, and we'll get to all your questions, but and we're going to come back to a couple of those. But a real pressing questions by Mr. Cotty. He wants to know where Mr. Chappell's buying lunch today. Obviously, Ryan, you're being facetious, as you know. Mr. Chappell rarely buys lunch because you either play liar's poker or somehow he gets a phone call, strategically. I mean, but he's sneaky quick is what we like to call Mr. Chappell.
He's bought my lunch a few times.
Well, I mean, would he had to?
Oh, no.
See, I don't like it when you do this.
No, I'm just being fair. All right, next
you think
question.
He's listening?
Probably not.
Okay.
No.
Some of his people probably get back to it.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Jeff's got people.
Who was the next? Barbara? I'll go ahead and pull it. I haven't seen it yet, so.
Since we have no real newspaper, we really get no legal. Your new format seems to be sporadic. I'm not understanding. That's something you're going to have to answer.
Okay.
If you miss a day or week, you cannot go back. I like the old format better. Thanks for all you do.
Okay.
You've never done legals, right?
No, and that's the weird thing about Guthrie News Page. Guthrie News Page is online only. I'm not affiliated with the local printed paper.
Nothing to do with the Guthrie paper that's been here for years. And I know anytime it has something to do,
the paper's not locally owned; it's owned out of state.
It's owned out of state.
But I'm not associated with that, and I could apply to be a legal paper, but then there's printing press and all that, and I don't think that's
which leads to a really great point or a great conversation piece. I think is newspapers are dying. I mean, they're dying.
There's some that are,
Well, I mean, there's been some major newspapers shut their doors.
Yeah.
I mean, there's just with today's technology, I can't tell you the last time I read a newspaper and said, "Oh, I didn't know that," because it's all online. And
no matter what it
is, doesn't matter, state, local.
Yeah.
We tend to get them off these things.
Yeah.
And it's and when it comes to things like legals, I mean it's a great point. But obviously, Guthrie News Page has nothing to do with the local paper.
Yeah.
So.
And I can put legals on there, but I'm not what they call a what's the word for it? I'm not a legal pay. I can't. I forget the word of it.
There's rules on how you have to put the legals out.
But like anything you hear, especially state when they're changing laws. Well, that law was written a long time ago. The times have changed. Well, times have changed as well, and I know the Court Clerks Association has looked at this. But here's the example. If with the county, school, or city, there's certain things they have to put into legal paper. That's what it's called, a legal paper, which is through the Oklahoma Press Association and all that good stuff. Here's the example, like Crescent Public Schools, and it's all schools, but I'm going to use Crescent as an example. They have to put their budget in the legal section in a paper of any local paper, and it costs the school $200 to put their budget into the legal section of a local newspaper.
Right.
Now, $200. So obviously, public schools or charter schools, all those, they get their money from the public. So that's tax dollars money going to put into a legal paper. So I'm not saying that it all needs to go to Guthrie News Page. I'm not saying I don't know if I.
There's got to be a more efficient way to do it.
And I don't know if I even want those on there. If I had to, because it was a public service type deal, but. Instead of spending $200 into a paper that arguably some may or may not see, I'm not saying that, but wouldn't it be better if like the Logan County Treasurer, I bet she spends over $30,000 of taxpayers' money a year just on legal publications. How many people see that? I don't know. But how about this? How about even if it's not if there is a charge because there is work, what if it costs like $5,000 a year or $10,000, whatever it may be, for all that legal information to go to some website at the county, like the Logan County Clerk
people could go
in
pull.
charge of that.
You can go pull.
That is on a website.
Yeah.
Times have changed,
Yeah.
but the thing with that is if you go to the state capitol to fight anything, you better take your lunch pail if you're going to fight with oil or print.
Yep.
Oklahoma Press Association is very tough. And I think I saw somewhere, it was a couple years ago, but it's $5-6 million, I think, a year.
Well, I mean, the legals keep a lot of these small papers afloat. I mean, they would go out of business without the legals.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's just the bottom line. And so there's always two sides. And that's what we talked about earlier about the minimum wage. There's two sides to that also. I mean, if you're a person that's out there that's making, I mean, this is my position on the minute. If we could jump over that for a second.
Yeah.
I think the majority of the people that we're talking about when you talk about minimum wage are part-time workers and those folks, which usually are young people that are, working at the place, right? I mean, pick the place. They're making minimum wage. Most places I know of, and I work with a lot of business owners, I can't think of one of my clients, and I have literally hundreds of business clients. I can't think of one of my clients that pays their employees minimum wage. Not one.
Yeah.
And I don't. So when that argument comes up, the first thing I think about is, well, if you want to pay more for your sandwich, if you want to pay more for your bag of feed at a local, like here in Guthrie, we have Willoughby's. I had a son that worked there, and actually he made better than minimum wage. She pays better than minimum wage. So, I mean, it's just, I just don't think we're talking about, because they make the argument, well, nobody can raise a family on, $7 or whatever it is, $8 an hour, whatever minimum, was it $7.75 now, $7.50?
$7.25.
$7.25. Well, I don't think people are being asked to raise a family on $7.25. I think, listen, there's always an exception to that, but I think it's such a minute amount of the population base. And I also believe that if you're talking about full-time workers, you need to incentive people to strive to get better paying jobs, to do the things necessary to improve their station in life. So it's like a lot of things, right? Certain these topics, it's so easy to attack people if they take the opposite position, right? So if you say, no, I don't want to raise minimum wage, well, they'll say, well, you don't want people to have a working wage. No, that's not what I'm saying at all.
Right.
I think there's certain things in our society that warrant, if you work there, making $9 an hour, $10 an hour, $11 an hour. There's certain functions everybody can't make, 60, 70, 80, 100, whatever $1,000 a year. I mean, if we did that, nobody would be able to afford to live here. Yeah,
there's a lot of good talking points. It's a thing on Guthrie News Page Facebook. If you want to go on there, there's like over 60 comments on that already. But, if you just start out with a new business, you have to pay minimum wage, and you have this employee that does a really good job, and you bump them up to $8.25 an hour. Well, then the minimum raise goes up. You have to raise their pay up too. So it just kind of.
And what drives me crazy, and
that's one of the comments I read on.
Right.
I thought it was a valid deal.
And what bothers me a little bit too is when you'll see things where they say about how companies don't pay their fair share in tax. Well, they never talk about payroll tax, and never talk about all the other taxes that business owners are paying in every year. They look at just one line, and it's there's a lot more. It's not as simple of a subject as just, well, you don't want anybody to have a workable, a livable wage. Well, that's not true. That's like with healthcare reform years ago, and somebody would say, well, you don't want people to be able to get good health care? Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I want people to die in their cars. Yeah, that's exactly what I'm saying. I mean, it's silly, but it's about the little things that make those kind of things go to where they're sustainable, and they're, it's something that we can do for years on end. And unfortunately, we find ourselves in a time now at a local level, at a state level, and a national level, where a lot of the the status quo establishment ways of doing things. We're talking about the legals earlier. Mm-hmm. You know, you're seeing it in education. You're seeing it in private business. I mean, a lot of people went out and invested a lot. I mean, mark my word, malls, I'm going to break some people's hearts. Malls are dying. I mean, that's not a new thing. They've been dying. They're dying. I was in Enid, Oklahoma yesterday, and they have a little mall up there, and bless its heart. I mean, it's sad.
Yeah.
And if it wasn't for the military base up there, they wouldn't have it. But it's things are changing. I mean, my poor mail lady, I don't know how many boxes she delivers to our house every week, but it's a bunch.
Yeah. Yeah.
And people are buying their stuff online. They're doing things, you know, virtually now. I mean, it's just whether more and more people are working satellite. I mean, so if you went out and you invested a bunch in commercial property or office space, go talk to a commercial real estate agent and see how much tougher it is to fill space than it used to be. I mean, a lot of people aren't even investing in offices like they used to.
All right, Chris Savory's first comment. We'll go ahead and stay on this up. If you've got questions, keep coming. I see them right here, so I'm going to be able to get to them here in a second.
I don't like this because you got them.
Chris Savory.
You got festering me.
Chris says minimum wage keeps expectations on wages low. Just saying. His next comment: it takes 2 people working at least 12 and HR to live to be able to pay rent and raise kids right now on one household.
Yeah. So. And that's what, maybe I didn't say it correctly, but I see Chris's other comment about minimum wage keeps expectations on wages low. I actually agree with that. You know, I think it all comes back to supply and demand and being able to, you got to provide the services that people, and people got to be willing to pay whatever the price is that you think, or if you know, you got to control labor cost, just like you got to control all cost if you want to have a vibrant business. I mean, you can't just randomly go out there and pay people. I'll give you a great example. We've got a client that's in the energy sector. We all know energy sector people in certain jobs get paid much more than they could ever go earn in any other industry. I mean, if you don't believe that, just wait for a layoff and see if the folks that were making $100,000 a year driving a truck can go make that money now somewhere else. But you know, there's exceptions to it, but for the most part, you know, the position, the job you're performing is going to dictate how much you make, and it all plays a part into the overall grand scheme of those industries. So it's a tough subject. It's just not as, my point was, it's not as easy as just saying, well, you know, everybody has a right to a livable wage. Well, yeah, but we also have a right. People have a right to expect people to work to get to the place where they can have a livable wage. So it's a complicated subject.
I really wish you would share your opinion on this a little bit more here on First Podcast Open Mic. Okay. Keep your questions coming. I see them here. We'll get to them. Switching topics here. Brandy. Hello, Brandy. Good to see you. Brandy wants to say, I just lost.
She took it down.
No, it's on there. I saw in the new post about new ambulances. I'd like to know more. Guthrie Fire Department with the council on Tuesday approved for 2 new ambulances, $452,000, I think it was. And what that Guthrie Fire Department has 5 ambulances, Guthrie EMS, and Guthrie EMS services the entire Guthrie School District, which is 232 square miles. Right now, they go outside the school district. Right now,
which could be an entire show by itself.
Could be by itself, yeah. But they're getting rid of 2. I'll get to this. Not getting rid of. They're taking those 2 ambulances out of their fleet, adding these 2 new ones here. I think they will be here. I believe in July. And the 2 ambulances that they have now that they're getting out of their fleet, they're going to take the the back of the box off the truck, the chases, leave the chase, and those 2 will now go to public. Nothing official yet, but they would like to send those 2 to Public Works for our streets and all those guys over there. So that
this is the first time we bought ambulances in how long?
We bought one. Well, we're replacing a 2011 and 2013. So
it's much like when we moved here. I heard some people say, well, we just bought a new ambulance. And I remind them when we first moved here in 2000, and somebody told me to go to the new high school. Yeah. So I'm driving around looking for this new high school. And So time goes fast. You feel like you just bought something, and then you think about how many runs those ambulances go on, how many miles have been put on those things. I mean, it's amazing you get the years out of them that you do.
All right, Rod, I see your question. Before we get to Rod's question, let's go to Heather's question or statement. She says, Guthrie High School boys basketball. Is it on my screen? It is. Okay. Guthrie High School boys basketball is pretty salty this year. Come see them 2 times at home next week, Tuesday and Friday. Absolutely. And here we are. January 9th. And Guthrie High School basketball, boys and girls, have not had a home game yet. Now, they'll have their first home games next week on Tuesday and Friday. That is amazing not to have any games in December. I think they played 8 games already.
Is that because of tournaments?
Tournaments, and then, you can still have home games. It's just...
But aren't your total games limited?
Well, no, I think you're allowed 22, 23 games a year. So you have 3 tournaments, which is 9 games. So that's 14 games, which is usually your conference game.
Yeah.
And maybe 1 out of conference type deals. So coaches want 3 tournaments.
Used to be when I was in school, the high school basketball teams played on Tuesdays and Fridays.
Same here. Same thing.
And you could set your clock to it.
Yeah.
And every other week, Friday game was a home game. That's just how it worked.
Yeah.
And so it seemed like we saw a lot more local basketball where I was from than we do currently here. Because we'll have 6 home games?
6 home games. Yeah.
That's not a lot.
No, it's not. And I think even 20 years ago, there was only maybe 7 or 8 home games.
Wow.
Unless you host your own tournament, then you get that. So, good question there. Yeah, go out and support them. We're hoping to cover Guthrie basketball this year on the broadcast like we did football. Still looking for sponsors. That'll be the big thing, because with so much that we've added on with all of our cameras, you got camera operators, you got computer graphics person.
This stuff's not free?
Yeah. Well, I wouldn't mind doing that at a discount for myself, not to the discount that you get, but my camera operators like to not waste,
Well, bottom line is we have to pay to be on the air.
Yeah.
And I think that's something.
All the equipment.
Well, yeah. But just a baseline before you ever start, like football games, it cost us
X amount.
A chunk of change just to be able to put the game on the air. On radio.
Correct.
And so you're negative before you ever get started. And so you're working backwards from there.
You sign a contract in July and you're already behind the...
Several $1,000s.
Yeah.
So it's...
But, we can put 1 camera out there and sometimes that's good enough. But we like to have 3 cameras, but we'll see.
Yeah.
Hopefully that works out. Working on that. So I hope to have Guthrie basketball. Rod Poppin, I saw your question. Oh, before we get to Rod, very nice. Josh Seabolt. You guys are awesome. Well, Josh, you're awesome too. Appreciate that. All right. Rodney Poppin says, have you heard any time frame on completion date of the new Meridian Tech facility? Well, as you probably seen, the dirt work is moving, all that good stuff. It has come to a little bit of a halt out there on Division Street next to Mercy.
What is that?
Well, they're moving dirt, building dirt, and as they move more dirt, there's debris underneath the ground. They're digging up trash.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of delayed things a little bit. So that's
interesting.
Yeah. I don't know if...
Well, years ago, that was probably... Well, not probably. It was a farmer's land, and he probably dug up a big old hole, and that's where he put stuff.
Yep. So they're... But I don't know if this puts them behind, but their goal was to open... to have the classes in January 2021.
That's good. That's going to be great for Guthrie.
18 months total was a project. I don't know where they're at now.
I bet they make it. I bet they get close to that. Hey, I don't want to forget this one. It's and I don't remember who asked the question. It's a local question about the baseball teams. Do we have schedules yet for baseball? Those are out, aren't they?
I think I'm not sure yet. I'm still.
Where would somebody go to see that? Just to the school site?
Yeah, GuthriePS.net. Yeah. And then at the top, athletics. And then after that is schedule. And then there's a list of all the schedules on there. Honestly, I have not looked at baseball yet because we're still off of football, which took us in the middle of December. And we're still trying to get basketball things going. But I would think that would be the best bet. As I know the schedule's out. I've seen it somewhere, but I don't know if it's just because.
Yeah.
But GuthriePS.net is the school's website. At the top, athletics, hit schedule, and there you go.
Interesting.
Okay. Ryan cutting shots there.
Did Cutting lay a shot across the bow? What did he do?
Oh no, he's a good guy.
Oh, okay. Did I say he wasn't? I mean,
well, not since we turned the camera on.
Well, that's what I'm talking about. So,
amethysts are replaced in 2005, 2006.
Wow. So put that in perspective. We're 14. No, do you say 5 and 6?
Yeah,
2005, so 15 and 14 years since we've bought an ambulance. Or rotating them out.
I'm taking someone's comment there. Let me go to my article. I'm sure it's in the article, right?
Well, I would hope so. Did you write it?
Yeah, I wrote it.
I didn't know if somebody on your staff wrote it.
Yeah, big staff. Internet is slow here.
Interesting, while you're looking for that, though, we're talking about, and this is something that I'd be interested to hear people's thoughts on, is the position on between the tribes and our governor right now and what's going on at the state level.
Yeah, it's back and forth. Of course, it's going to be a Supreme Court. It's going to be a Oklahoma. It's going to be judges ruling on what happens there.
Yeah, I know that I saw some of my relatives over the New Year's that are of an advanced age that live in Kansas, and they're not very happy with their governor. I told them, they may just shut those things down, and I thought some of my aunts and uncles were going to cause a coup down here at the Capitol.
Okay, yeah, the ambulances they're replacing is 05 and 06. The new ambulances are going to be similar to the 2013 and 2015 ambulances. So that's what was on my mind on the 2013. So thank you to that.
What do you think the biggest issue we have? We talk about the buildings in Guthrie, all the empty buildings, and when I was in Enid, as I said yesterday on business, they have a lot of empty buildings. So you go drive down to Oklahoma City, there's empty buildings, but yet the economy in Oklahoma is as strong as it's been ever. So I think that speaks to what we were talking about earlier about less and less folks. Much enterprise now is done with a laptop and and that's it.
Yeah,
I mean it's changed so much for a guy like me that's been in business for 30 years. The way that we always thought it would always be has completely changed.
Yeah,
and it's an exciting time. It's fun, but man, it's different. I mean, it's so different. But it affects everybody, whether it's office space or the people that clean the offices or the people or utilities. So revenue's down there because we have less utilities, or the city experiences less because you're not buying water and you're not doing. I mean, it's amazing to me how much business and enterprise has changed.
Yeah, you talking about downtown Guthrie and in the building and all for it. It's a lot of work before you ever open the doors.
A lot of work.
I mean, you talk about older buildings, then you talk about...
What do you put in a building that's 30,000 square feet?
Well,
I mean, seriously.
Then you got to paint it the right way. You got to make sure the
HVAC has to work.
The sign's not more than 30% on the window. There's a lot of rules going on.
Well, try to heat and air one of those big old buildings.
But there is I was able a lot of news city news stuff yesterday. Of course, that usually happens after a city council meeting. But the Byron Burline buildings that have now sold to a guy in McAllister. His name's Coley Stevens, and he's a real estate agent, managing broker. It sounds like a very successful guy. He also sits on the city council over in McAllister. But he's bought the property, and the council. He asked for a March 1 deadline to get it all cleaned up. Not only cleaned up, but the rest of the foundation taken off, leveled, all cleaned up, cleared off, all that good stuff. He's going to try to repurpose on the brick. But his plan is to build a building there, a 2-story building. And we'll see what happens. He's big into breweries, so
could be a microbrewery, maybe.
Could be something of that. If that's what he,
yeah, right.
You can change his mind and
sure
and get it. You can go in and say, "Hey, I want to buy it for $8 million." I'm sure he'll take $8 million.
Sure, he would.
Before he put a brewery in there.
Sure, he would.
So that's exciting that they will rebuild right there.
Yeah, because you look at the downtown and you talk to folks that have been here their whole lives that are even older than me, and I'm quickly becoming one of the old guys.
Yes,
but
you are.
But you're not far behind. But there's been so many cool old buildings that have been torn down over the years, And so it's nice to see somebody who wants to come back. Of course, they'll have to put back the building that fits with the facade. At least is going to have to look in that period, correct? That period of time. So,
and it doesn't have to be all brick.
well, many of the buildings down there aren't all brick.
Correct. So I don't know what the percentage is and all that good stuff, but that's what I was talking about. There's a lot of work, especially building a downtown building.
Well, I would think that some of those,
Historic Society.
Are there buildings down there that have no brick in downtown Guthrie? I don't.
Well, but like Katie's, that wouldn't count. They're outside.
If I talk like if you go down Oklahoma Ave and Harrison, I don't think there's one that doesn't have at least the
snow cone stand,
an appearance of brick.
Yeah.
So that'd be fun though. I'm just glad somebody that's got a plan is who ended up at that property.
That is cool. That is cool. Chris Dotson has a question. We'll get to Chris. Question: is Guthrie going to host another outdoor concert similar to the Gentlemen of the Road tour? That was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun, and Guthrie somewhat got lucky on that deal because they kind of picked Guthrie. It's not like we went out shopping for an outdoor concert, much less be Mumford and Son. But I think Guthrie has, the Red Brick Nights has been good.
Been really good.
Has been bringing in outdoor concerts there in the summertime. But
I think too, if you look at all the movies that are being shot here in Guthrie, and Justin Fortney does a great job. He's kind of the point guy, I would assume, for all that type of stuff for the for the city and the community. But there's been several movies shot. That does nothing but improve our brand. For folks, whether it's in all different types of entertainment venues. But the biggest challenge I had when we first moved here, a guy said we could be the Telluride of Oklahoma, and I said, well, yeah, we don't have the mountains. Right?
Well, one movie put mountains behind City Hall.
Right. But so I think just creating, we got to figure out who we are and embrace who we are and move forward with that. And Chris is scaring me now because he's looking for something. And
where did my phone go?
This is when it always happens,
it
right here.
In.
It always happens.
Okay.
All right. I'm glad he's back.
All right. Well, we're fresh out of questions, so if anybody wants to chime in real quick, we can. We have topics we can discuss, but we want to discuss the ones out there.
Yeah, I'd like to hear what you guys want to talk about.
Jeff Flurry wants to know: do you guys ever work?
Well, much like Jeff and his cousin Jeff, not to be confused with my brother Daryl and my other brother Daryl from the Bob Newhart Show, although there are some similarities with those two. We work as much as we need to, Jeff.
Well, and for the record, Phil was working
diligently.
It was amazing to watch.
It's the most Chris has ever seen me do.
I was like, wow, he's really getting after it. It was like Adobe, and I was like, wow. Once he got connected to the internet, that was another.
That was a little.
But yeah, you were working over there. But I was working my sources on the two stories that I have not published yet. The stories are written, so I've already worked this morning in the podcast here.
I find it ironic. Jeff asking that question is a lot like a guy that'll say, every time I go to the casino, I see old Bill over there. I'm worried about him.
Yeah.
And I'm always thinking, well, hell, you're there.
You're there, absolutely.
but it's so that that's how I feel, Jeff, when you ask that question. So we're working as hard as you are.
All right. There were some other comments there, but I don't think there's any questions on here. So I think we hit that there. So
we ran the course.
Jeff said that's good stuff there.
That's good stuff. So I want to know from Jeff, though, is who's winning their weight loss or fitness challenge that they've got.
Well, I don't know. I just know Jeff keeps losing the Liar's Poker. The Liar's Poker has caught on.
He took over my role.
Yes.
I was the great loser, when I participated in that until I had to relocate my lunching plans. But, I was a consistent you can't be aggressive and do well in Liar's Poker.
Right.
Especially when people know that you can't help yourself. You're always going to be aggressive.
And people don't know what Liar's Poker is. You get your dollar bills out. It don't have to be $1. It could be a 20. Whatever.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Mr. Chop plays $100 bills.
Yeah. That's all he carries.
You play a little poker. Who has the best hand? You can lie. I could say I have nine eights in my hand. I could be lying, and then you.
I've lost before with like 6 sixes.
Yeah. So
Usually it's because there's only one person I'm aware of that's ever literally cheated to win, though, when we were doing it.
Oh, Chappell's cheated 3 or 4 times.
Correct.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a pro at that.
I mean, he has slid money.
He's got plants to people in restaurants.
Exactly. Yeah, he slips money to the owners of restaurants.
Then he'll say, "Hey, can you give us some dollars to play
like
this?"
One time, the owner of the restaurant
right.
brought a plate,
yes,
handed it to Mr. Chappell, and underneath the plate were the bills.
Correct.
And so he knew what they were.
I mean, he's sneaky.
Yeah,
he's sneaky. You got to respect that.
Another note here, real quick, on city stuff, unless someone has some. I'm going to get another comment on here. Okay. Another thing is we're waiting for the next member of city council to be nominated. And the thing I've learned, the good thing about Guthrie News page is that I can do a story and see if people are interested, like if they care. And I got to tell you, not a whole lot of interest in the city council.
No, I think it's the same. I think the people that watch it and have real strong views, I think there's 20 to 40 of them in the community. I really do believe that.
I mean, we talk about all these big, of course, the big deals come up that people will watch. In big topics.
You mean the show?
The show.
That's what I refer to as the show. Grab your popcorn.
Yeah. Topics will bring people out, but overall, like I wrote the article on 4 candidates for city council.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of feedback on that, but there are 4 people. There's 3 people on the nominating committee: Mayor Steve Gentling, Jeff Taylor, and Don Channel. Interviewed all 4 candidates yesterday, and so those 3 will get together and think who they will want to nominate, and then city council decide as a body. I got to have 4 votes. So of course, there's only 6 of them right now. So 4 out of 6 can vote for the next city council member.
Yeah, and I think it's always, we always joke about how it goes in a rotation. It's the city, the county, and the school. They all get their share of having the bullseye on their chest, and city did its fair share. The council did its fair share of putting the bullseye on its own chest there for a few weeks, but it's the holidays couldn't get here quick enough for the city council. I think everybody needed that little break. And
that happens. I mean,
it's not. It happens everywhere too. It's not just here.
When you get new members, new faces, new ideas. I've seen it with school board meetings.
Sure, it's everywhere.
It happens, and it's not just a Guthrie thing. I always go.
Well, I tell you and I were talking about this. I said, listen, I don't expect to agree with everything. I just want them to not embarrass the community. Is my expectation.
Right.
I mean, and I'm not saying that if I was on the council, heck, I'd probably be one of them embarrassing the community the most. So I'm not throwing stones. I'm just saying it'll be nice when we have a more, an overall experienced council that at least understands kind of how the process works. So
yeah, and I think we're getting there.
Yeah, I do too.
I think we're getting there. It's just
a lot of good ideas with people on there all the way around. I mean, there's nobody has the market cornered on good ideas on the council.
Right. I
think everybody that's up there has good ideas and their intentions are right.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, they want to do what's right. I think it's just sometimes it's like a family, right? Sometimes the holidays get a little sporty. Yeah. And you get everybody in a room together.
Yeah. You just got, and we'll just call it, James and Don are new to the council.
Right.
And they're learning as they go as well. And Don, I thought, did a good job of bringing up the ammunition. Just, hey, let's talk about it. And so they did. And there was a few things that everybody learned from there. So, Jeff Taylor's been on there forever. So he's kind of seen things over and over a time or two. And, the mayor's been there for a little while. So you have
James has great experience as a business owner. And I mean, and that's what I want to be clear about. I mean, we're a town of what, 10, 11,000 people?
10,000, yeah.
So most of us know each other.
Yeah.
And so, none of us are without our hiccups along the way in our lives. And so I like, because they're all good people and they want to do what's right, I just want to see them maybe save some of the theatrics for executive session, I guess would be the way I would.
Oh no, they're there too. I'm sure they're there.
But save it for that.
Yeah.
Because then it can be done there.
Then you can really,
let that happen.
If you're in an executive session, you can really let go because there's no cameras or microphones in front.
Yeah, but I think when the camera, and again, like I said, I'd probably be the worst offender if I was on council because I can get heated and then I have to go back and apologize for 4 days, and so I own that. But I just wish that it was when the camera was rolling, because that's kind of everybody's window, whether right or wrong. That's people see stuff like that, and they make judgments about our community a lot of times based on how they see people conduct themselves.
Yeah,
and so it can be. And I'm not just talking. This is not me just talking about Don or James. I'm just saying overall.
Right.
I want to be clear about that. But it's Don and James are the ones that get all the shots fired their way right now because they're the new ones.
Well, and they're the ones who bringing up
new ideas and challenging things, and that's good. I mean, you should challenge things. I just think there's a right way and a wrong way.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a way to approach it.
Correct. That's all. Yeah, that's all.
But big. I can't brag enough. Now we're doing live.
Oh, you're not. I thought you were going to talk about me for a second.
Oh,
Go ahead.
We're doing live, and so people are afraid to throw the questions in because it's a live deal.
They get a little scared.
And actually, we might just put their name and their message on the screen, so it makes it a little bit different.
We wouldn't want that, would we?
No, absolutely not. So
social media is, made. Everybody's John Wayne now with their social media. We're all tough guys.
So like here when Jeff Furry says Chapel has alligator arms, it's now on the screen right there. So there it is.
Did he say that about his cousin?
So
Flurry, come on, man.
Well, do you want to talk about how you forced me to go into surgery?
Are we going to talk about the open face? So as you can tell, the moneymaker's been damaged. It's never going to be the same.
The road to recovery.
He has this sweet little face, and now he's got this. I mean, as I told you the first time I saw it, all I could think of was Elephant Man. So it was not good.
Since I've gone through this ordeal
procedure.
Go ahead and put the.
Oh boy, this is going to take a while.
For a while, the side of my face here, there was a bubble. It was not
a bubble.
It was a bubble. But you always learn people's personality.
Yeah.
Because some people will go, they just have a conversation, and then some people go, "What's that on your face?"
Oh yeah. I was setting a breakfast a few weeks ago, and I had something around my lip. I'd cut myself sometimes you'll nick yourself on the corner of your lip when you're shaving. And somebody blurted it out, and I looked at it and I said, well, what does it look like? I mean, why bring that up? I mean, when you're working with this, I don't need people pointing out any more flaws.
Right.
I got enough. And that's one of the reasons why I'm upset with Chris is me keeping, the scars and that was my stick. And now you got this horrific looking scar.
It looks a lot better now that the stitches are out. So here's
144. How many stitches?
143.
143.
I just tried to round it up.
He made it through though.
Yeah.
Open face surgery is what we were calling it.
Well, my team of doctors got together and thought the best plan, and so I did have the little incision here. I had a cyst.
Oh, boy.
I had a cyst.
All I asked him to do was to videotape it for me.
Yes.
Couldn't do it.
No. And the show Dr. Pimple Popper is what everyone refers to.
That's where I was going with
it. It was this thing that finally had to cut it out. It was starting to get infected.
Chris was trying to tell me what it was. I said, so you got a zit. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you go, yeah.
But,
said, well, okay. It'll be all right.
Okay, so I went to my local doctor who sent me to a dermatologist.
Wait for it.
Who sent me to my plastic surgeon.
A plastic surgeon. Chris now has a plastic surgeon.
I now have a plastic surgeon. Okay, so my first initial visit to my plastic surgeon's office, I go in and I sit down on the back wall, and there's a lady to my left, there's a lady to my right. One was following up, and I don't know what the other lady was there, but so a lady comes walking out of the, when you leave, you walk out the door, and we make eye contact, and she covers her. She has a piece of paper. And she covers. We make eye contact. And I'm like, oh, it's that. Oh my gosh, am I looking away yet? No, I'm not looking away. Then I looked away, and she covered her face up and started laughing because her lips were like the size of balloons.
She had injections?
She had injections.
I've been thinking about doing that, but then Tanya reminds me that I already have fat lips. I don't need the injection.
So I'm like, oh dear goodness! I hope the doctor reads my medical chart the right way, or I'm going to be walking out of here
like Daffy Duck. That'd be great.
Yeah, but
now, a little backstory? Chris is not a fan of the needle.
No.
He's not a fan of needles in any way, shape, or form.
Absolutely not.
Chris like a brother to me, and he's the only person I know that didn't go to my blood drive I used to put on. And so I mean that he doesn't like the needles. But you said this wasn't a big deal.
It was not at all.
Yeah.
From the very beginning.
Yeah.
From the shot to numb it.
Yeah.
And then science is amazing because the second shot was to lower the blood vessels.
Well, because it was near a bleeder.
It was near an artery. That's why I had to go to the...
we call those bleeders from Greenwood County.
So I got the stitches removed on Monday. I had some bruising, but...
is it going to get... Is that how it's going to be
always? No.
Oh.
My team of doctors advised me to let it heal for another week and then start massaging it to get,
I was giving him a hard time on the phone. When we talk every day, but giving him a hard time about his disfigurement, and hung the phone up. And my wife, I could, when you can feel somebody looking at you.
Oh, yeah.
And I know she's sitting over here in the living room listening to my conversation, and she goes, "You're not a nice person," is what she told me. I said, "That's what guys do. That's how we."
No, that's what you do, Phil.
No, that's what most guys do.
You gave me the hardest time.
Most guys do that. Most guys, maybe not to your face like I do, but most people are laughing.
What were you calling my thing before?
Open face surgery.
Before I went to the doctor.
The open face?
Yeah. Are you going to have that thing looked at?
Well, I kept trying to touch it, and you wouldn't let me. And so you got to get that sucker cut out of there. I kept saying.
Yeah, I thought they were going to cut and squeeze. It wasn't how I cut.
No. They had to get the whole thing out.
Yeah, they actually
a lot of stitches.
And I couldn't. They had the blue thing over me where I couldn't see it.
Oh boy.
Well, so that and it wasn't like
clothed, or did you have to?
No, I was fully clothed.
Oh.
Yeah, just like this, and it's like going to the dentist.
Oh boy.
And so I couldn't see anything. So
another thing Chris isn't a fan of, the dentist.
Yeah, I got to go ahead. The 16th.
Go ahead.
I said, well, if I don't go to my 6-month appointment, then I don't have to go. Then they called me. It's like, oh
no, they'll put the pressure on you.
And my wife would put pressure.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like cut and squeeze. It was cut and then.
Yeah, they were clipping it out. Yeah. But what Tanya told us what that's called. We were there was a name for that. What they were cutting out.
The sack.
Something. But yeah. But it was Chris is back. He's
back. Yeah.
Doesn't have his boyish good looks anymore. So it's got to be more substance now instead of just trying to get by.
Chamber Banquet's coming up January 16th.
Next week.
Phil, proud member of the Chamber, and got his banquet table yesterday, and good part there.
You know what? I can't let this go. Evans is everybody's hitman to get into my wallet.
No.
I figured this out.
No.
Really?
You would have done it. They just want it quicker.
Yeah. And the other stuff, like one year I was sitting at the coffee shop with a client, and
last year.
Next thing I know, Evans is walking up, and next thing I know, I'm handing him $500.
Yeah, just like that. Hey, you impressed the organization that you give that money to. You impressed your client. You impressed me.
So you did me a favor.
Did you a favor?
Oh, okay.
Absolutely. It did.
Can I write any of this off?
Sure.
You can't write stuff off.
You
to
were
the
quick
chamber,
to get that receipt yesterday.
But you can't write it off.
Why is that?
I looked it up. You can't write your dues or your membership off.
Didn't Trump take that away?
I'm sure he did.
Yeah.
Love him though.
Yeah. All right. Well, we probably need to exit. This is our first podcast. Of course,
it'll get better.
Yeah, it'll get better.
Yeah, it'll get better. We're figuring it out.
This was kind of a ramble. We didn't have any talking points. We were like, we need to get our first one out.
Yeah, get one out there, and then we can go from there. But it's always important to get the first one out there, and then we can tweak it and do better next time.
Yeah, some podcasts might be one topic driven.
Correct.
Right there. So, and it's not just a Guthrie thing. It was mentioned earlier.
Yeah,
we might be talking to the Jinx football coach.
Right. Or have somebody in Oklahoma City on, or whatever the case may be. But we really do want to hear though what you guys want. I mean, tell us what you guys would like for us to talk about, and what would be interesting to you guys, and we'll make sure that happens.
Absolutely. Final comment goes to Alicia. Hey, Papa Phil.
Ah, my girl. I think she's in California now, I believe. Sweet girl. Sweet girl. Have friends? Oh, okay. Chapel has... Okay, now I just saw that word. Chapel has...
Alligator arms?
Yeah, Flurry said, I'm not the biggest liar. Boy, Flurry, I mean, he goes after you.
Yeah.
This Flurry guy.
He does. So... that's for our podcast. Of course, right now our podcast is going out to the platforms. We're not there at all platforms yet.
Right.
But, we'll share this on Guthrie News page and the audio stuff. So that way you don't have to watch it here. If you can listen to it on your own time and all that good stuff.
And seriously, if you want to have us talk about if there's certain guests in areas you'd like for us to try to get on the show, let us know to send a message to Chris or just let us know when you see us in the community or around. But
there were some good questions today. The Meridian Technology building was a good one. The sidewalks there and the ambulances, and we were able to cover a lot of good stuff. So not bad for the first one.
How's the Blue Jay YMCA basketball team you're coaching?
Oh yeah, we had a great workout last night.
Yeah,
about maybe hour 15.
Light practice.
Light practice. Yeah. We got game. Got to stretch the legs out.
When's the big tournament?
Big tournament. St. Mary's basketball tournament is the 23rd, 24th, and 25th.
Came in second there last year.
Or 25th.
Second.
In January.
Didn't you come in second?
Finished second. Yeah. Got beat. It came down to the final shot.
You're playing up though. You guys were playing older kids.
We were playing up. Off to a great start. 3-0. And look to go 4-0 on Saturday.
How many total points have you given up in those 3 games?
Oh, I would guess 35 probably.
You're lying right now.
No, I'm thinking that's...
Well, then a team scored a bunch of points in the last game.
7-24, so about 35, somewhere in that.
And how many have you scored?
Oh, dear. 170 probably.
Then. Yeah.
Hey, we've played well.
Traveling team.
It's not a traveling team.
Traveling team.
Oh,
kids from all over the state of Oklahoma coming up here to play.
And they spend, $30,000 a year on a coach? Absolutely. So.
All Guthrie kids. It's fun. And what it really shows you is, we got a lot of really good young athletes coming up. And I know one of the topics that I get asked a lot about, Chris, I know you do too, is our high school sports, because obviously so many people follow it locally.
Sure.
And all I keep telling is we're going to be fine. We got a lot of young kids coming up. It's going to be good. So it'll be fun to watch these kids grow up.
Yep, it will. Yeah. All right. Well, we've worked all the way to noon.
Oh, it's lunchtime. Lunchtime, then off to take a little nap.
Well, no, you got a 1 o'clock appointment.
Oh, boy, that's right.
And then you have a 2 o'clock appointment. When it's on, he does work, folks.
It's time and a half.
It's a running joke with Phil, but he does work, and usually not past noon, but he does work. And his new business partner is making him work till 3.
I'm early.
3 or 4.
I'm an early ride. I do a lot of stuff early.
Yeah.
I get up early.
See, so. I don't like the early time.
No, you're not a fan of the early time. We always say, I'll call you, and you'll say, I haven't groomed yet.
Yep.
Groomed.
Yeah.
Now with the face thing, you got to make up that.
I do. I got it.
Next time you see Chris, come right up and look at it. Stare at it. I mean, he likes it when you do that.
It's amazing. People, you can have a conversation like this, and they're just
their eyes are staring right at their...
They don't say nothing. But then I had 2 of my basketball players. What is that?
And kids will ask the direct questions.
See, I mean, right. But here's the thing, and we need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I would ask the direct. No, if it was you, I would.
As a kid, or as an adult,
yeah. I wouldn't. I see something that I approach it like. Hold on. I approach it like they probably talked about it 25 times already. I don't want to do it. But with you, you're 50-50. I've seen you ignore it. I've seen you go after it.
Totally depends on the scenario. Usually depends on the person. But if it's... Now, you've never seen me do that with a kid.
Right? No, yeah.
But adults, depending on how ornery I'm feeling, is usually dictates.
Because I was getting ready to say I would never do it. You always do it, but you don't always do it.
No, I don't always do it.
No, you don't.
No, I don't always do it. It just depends. And I wouldn't do it to a lady.
No. Okay.
But guys are open territory. They're open season.
All right. Final question. It's one of many that I put on Guthrie Research Facebook lately. Would you rather fold laundry or wash dishes?
Oh, that's easy. Easy question.
Fold laundry?
No, do the dishes.
See, you're in the minority.
Really?
On the Facebook, everyone was fold laundry. They despise washing dishes.
Well, I can tell you why I despise folding laundry. I was in the military, and we had to fold stuff in 6-inch squares in basic training. And I'm serious when I say this. Ever since then, I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it. Had to fold your socks a certain way. Who folds their underwear?
I fold my underwear.
Oh, boy. Yeah, that's true.
What, you just throw it in the...
Just throw it in there.
Really?
Go get you a pair when it's time. Yeah.
You don't fold?
Well, I mean, I got 2 pair of underwear, and I just wear them.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, Christmas time.
Christmas time. Right.
All right, we better get out of here.
All right, guys.
All right, see ya.